welcome to Time with Terri, coming to you from the Space Coast of sunny Florida. Thank you for joining me for a special edition of my podcast today. We are happy to be back at Your Life and to let you know that they have a support group the second Friday of every month where we share our concerns and talk about what's on our heart about our loved ones. So thank you for joining us today. And also, you're welcome to come. There are other support groups in the area that I would encourage you, if you have a loved one with dementia, to join, because it's a loving group of people to share. So thank you for being here, and thank you for viewing me today, and thank you for the participants that are here today, and for Your Life for sponsoring this.
Well, welcome everybody. We lucked out today, and we have a amazing speaker. We're going to be talking about grief. That's right.
Grief in the holidays?
Grief in the holidays.
Oh, that's perfect. I'm glad I'm here.
Yes. Yeah. Here. So I will let you introduce yourself.
Want some salad?
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, my name is Kristie Henry-Roling. I'm a bereavement coordinator with St Francis Hospice here in Brevard County. I have worked in hospice for going on 20 years. Half of that as a hospice social worker. The second half has been in the grief and bereavement. And I absolutely love the journey I get to walk with people, as painful as it can be. It is, it's amazing to see the growth people experience in the grieving journey. So before I just start talking a whole bunch, I'd like to learn a little bit about what brings everybody here today. If you want to, do you have loved ones in the facility? Are you grieving this year at the holidays?
Okay, I'll go first. Yes, my husband has been here since October,
Okay.
so it's new.
It is, yes. Absolutely. With all change comes grief.
Yeah. So
My
That's all
husband,
I'm saying.
my husband was here from April until early October. He just passed.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm very sorry.
Oh, just I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Chris,
October 2nd. Yeah.
We're looking for the future.
Okay.
We like it at home right now.
Absolutely.
So we're doing our best. He's doing our best.
Okay.
I'm the one without the brain. And I know it.
And my mother has been here since May, but she's been in a facility since March of 2022. So, but we just moved her here and I'm much happier. But yeah, so I've gone through a couple of Christmases without her already, and it's very different this year in that my husband and I moved into her home, and that's a whole nother story of how her personality had changed, and she did not want anyone to live in her house while she was living, and so that was a very ugly scene that we had to deal with. But last year we went home to Virginia for Christmas, and this year I decided I would decorate. You kind of helped inspire me.
Good.
And she had lots of Christmas bins, so I went through her stuff and my stuff, and it was kind of fun to intermingle them both. So it feels good to have some of her and some of us. So yeah.
Nice.
And done. My name's Andy. I have been grieving for the last 15 months. My wife passed on the 1st of October last year, and I continue to come to this group because it's just so supportive. Plus, I can provide a little bit of insight to the people who are going through this now. And the last meeting, I told everybody that I found like 45, 47 boxes, bins of Beverly used to decorate the whole house. Well, last few years it's been very sparse because she was here for 18 months before she passed, so it's been about 3 years since I did any decorating. Well, I decided to decorate this year, put the big tree up, and I found an additional 20 boxes, crates, bins. So the total is above 60, but I had some help. After Thanksgiving dinner at my daughter's house, I have 5 children, 13 grandchildren,
Wow.
6 great-grandchildren.
Oh, my.
Well, the oldest great-granddaughter decided that she wanted to come and help me decorate. So she came home with me after Thanksgiving dinner and spent 3 days with me. I took her home Sunday. She went absolutely nuts going through all the boxes and bins, and she
And
helped
she's
me.
gonna come help take it all down too, right?
Probably, but when I can drag her out of school in January.
Yeah.
Oh, she'll love that.
Yeah. Putting stuff back where, and again, a lot of this stuff, because I can't decorate the whole house. It'd take me a year to do it, and I just gotta leave it up. But can't do that. So, Christmas this year is a little bit different. The grieving process has eased some, but I still have moments, still have days. But I have an 11-year-old, almost 11, she'll be 11 in January, helping me out. Plus all the rest of them, they come for visits on Tuesdays and Fridays. In fact, the herd is coming, the one with 3 is coming this afternoon at 4. And they hadn't seen all of the little, I've got over 100 animated creatures,
Oh, my God.
and only about 50 of them are out.
Really?
Good
So-
Lord.
They're gonna go
Wow.
nuts. They're not even gonna get to the regular toy box. So
That's
the
amazing.
holidays this year are slightly different than what they have been, but I'm kinda in the spirit and looking forward to it. It's helping quite a bit, just getting in and doing some decorating, playing with the kids.
Well, today, my father passed in 1995 with dementia, but today is his birthday.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I know, so it's just special. He was a good man. Good memories of him. And my mother passed away 2 months ago. So, but it was a blessing. It was, she was really suffering a lot at the end. And I see her smiling. In my mind, I see her smiling. So she's happy, she's with the Lord, she's with my dad, and
Yeah.
so she's good. And last year, my sister and I knew that was probably gonna be her last Christmas. So she was here last Christmas. So we went all out with all the decorations. So I do have a lot of decorations, and I need to put some of them up. I'm just, it's just kind of tough, but I think she's in a better place. And so, and I just want to thank everybody for participating in the podcast, because I just think that there's so many people like us out there, and I don't think they realize there is support for them. And this group is second Friday of the month, and they have a nice luncheon, as you can see. There are other places out there, but thank you so much for being here, and this is a wonderful topic for the podcast, so I'm glad you're here to
Thank you.
facilitate the meeting.
There's a phrase that I've learned that says community is immunity. And so getting together is so critical. It's so healthy, mentally, physically, everything. So I'm really grateful too.
Well, and that's one of the hardest things with just grieving in general, is society as a whole does not know how to support somebody who's grieving. In fact, if you think about it, so often when you've gone through a loss, people either have a really poor cliche to say, or you just wish they would have said nothing at all and just been there to support you in what you were feeling. And that's why groups are important, because grief can be very isolating. You feel like you're the only one, because grief is a very personal journey. I mean, the way you grieve depends on the relationship you have with the person. So even if you have 3 siblings and everybody lost the same parent, the relationship they had with that parent is going to affect how they grieve. And that's why it can also cause dynamics within the families, because they're like, well, my sister's not grieving correctly because I don't see this, or, But because it's so unique, it can be very lonely. And that is why groups are so special, because the moment you walk into a group, you realize everybody's speaking the same language and can understand and even if you're on different parts of this journey, you're further ahead. You guys are just getting started good. And it helps to be able to say, oh yeah, there is hope. There will be a day where I smile again. there will be a day where I want to put up the Christmas decorations. And the holidays are so hard to begin with. I mean, they're extremely stressful. You think, oh, I have to do this and this and this, plus live your life, and then decorate on top, and cook, and buy presents, and all of these things, and we put so much pressure on ourselves. When was the last time you stopped and said, what do I really want my holiday to be? Because typically we're very focused on what everybody thinks we're supposed to be doing. And that's why when we're grieving during the holidays, it can be so hard, because we have all these nostalgic memories of, oh, well, this was the bike I got from my mom when I was a kid, and all of these. And if you think back to our favorite holidays, when was the last time we had one like that? Every year they change a little bit. And we don't necessarily gauge that until we have a big loss. And then you're like, oh, and grief sucks. Grief is heavy, it is hard, it's messy, and it affects every part of us, and including the part that says, hey, let's be joyous this time of year, when in reality, maybe you just want to take it off. You can skip a holiday, the world keeps spinning. Or you can have a version of it, but it's important that the version is what you need it to be. Because ultimately, it is your holiday. And I know for most of you, this one's going to look different, one way or another. And it's important to remember, no matter what you do, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. Because whether you put up the big tree or a little tree, or whether you put up anything at all, it's just a moment for you to reflect. And because grief is love. We don't have them here in the same way for us to love necessarily, so we miss them, and we have to find other ways to love them. That's what grief is. And that's why it's so important that we take care of ourselves, because, again, there's so much pressure, and time goes, we're around all these people during the holidays often, and it's easy to get ourselves worn down. It's easy to let ourselves get sick. And if you are in the throes of being a caregiver, you know you don't have time to be sick. And if you're grieving, you're more likely to get sick. So it's really important you take care of yourselves. You eat a decent amount of food. You get plenty of sleep. You drink lots of water. People don't realize how dehydrating grieving is. When we cry, it pours out. It sucks the water out. And it's really important we rehydrate. Because if anyone's ever been dehydrated, it can cause all sorts of other problems. One of the other common things that happens, especially in the early months of grief, is what they call brain fog.
Yeah.
Very stressful time where you can't remember things as well. It's important you write things down. It's important you give yourself a lot of grace and patience right now, because if this is the first time you're going through this with this person, it's going to be hard. It's going to be all-consuming. So it's important that we take time and just give ourselves a break a little bit and say, you know what? If I don't make that appointment, it is not the end of the world. But write things down, because we can beat ourselves up so much. Because we have this expectation, oh, I should be over it. No, you shouldn't. Again, grief is love. You will never stop missing this person. You will never stop loving them. It's important that we change the way we think about grief. Grief is something that we feel. It's not something we have to fix. Grief is all those little moments in our life that we don't get to have again. Whether it's the jokes, whether it's the trips, whether it's just a nice meal. Those moments that seem so mundane in so many ways, those are the ones that hurt the most when you think back. You're like, man, I really wish I could do that again. And you do that slowly with your loved one as things change, but it's important you cherish those memories, because in the midst of grieving is a lot of gratitude. There's a lot to be thankful for. And one of my favorite quotes is actually from Winnie the Pooh. And it says, "How lucky am I to have had something so amazing in my life that hurts so bad to have it gone."
That's sweet.
Wow.
And it speaks volumes. Because it is. If it didn't mean so much, it wouldn't hurt so bad. And that's why it's so important to remember those, to take time to feel. So often people are scared to feel those emotions, but I hate to break it to you, the only way to really step through this process is to feel those emotions and talk. Share stories about your loved ones. Share stories about their life. There's a Chinese proverb that says, "Every death needs 100 tellings." We live our life as a legacy to those that we've lost. I mean, if you think back of all the things that our parents taught us, and after they're gone, we're still living in such a way. There are days I can hear my mom's voice in my head when I say something, and I'm like, oh, yep, there you are. And I know wherever she is just smiling, saying, yep.
I told you so.
Pretty much. But it's important that those moments that are so hard sometimes to remember, those are the ones that are going to make us smile eventually. We just have to give ourselves time.
At my mom's funeral, they had, we had to fill out a form about all her different likes, dislikes, you know, what was important to her. And my mom was very active in the community, in the Alzheimer's community. And my nephew was cute. He said, "Wow," he said, "Grandma really had a good life," he said. I mean, he always knew she was wonderful, but, all the things that when it's read out in public, he was like, wow, I wish somebody could say even 1/4 of that, to have all the accolades and how good my mom was to her family and her community. And I was like, yeah, that was a good testimony about my mother's life and her legacy that she left.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit unusual that we have a group that has all, I would say, 3 phases. We have ones that are not in it yet, ones that are in it, and ones that have been passed. So it's one of the reasons I stayed with this group. When I first came to the group, almost 3 years ago, it was basically just the residents. But one by one, a few of us have had a loved one pass, and we continue to show up here. I actually look forward to the second Friday of every month. I really do. And everybody knows the story of the one time I missed. They almost sent the police and had drive-bys, but it was an incident where a couple of my great-grandkids came down with strep earlier in the week, and I just didn't think, daughter told me, said, "Kids got strep." I just forgot to call in and let somebody know that I wasn't gonna be here. Well, by noon, Ashley is on the phone. She's gonna do a drive-by on her way home from work, make sure I'm okay. But the group is important to me, and I think to everyone that's here, because we're sharing things that eases the grief a little bit. We can express it here where we can't necessarily express it with other family members or friends. Support groups are good. A retired military, I've got immense support, not necessarily from people that are here, but that I was stationed with 20, 25, 30, 40 years ago. They are supportive on Facebook. And I post little things. Almost all the time I'm getting 30 or 40 comments, answers to things. So the support groups help. And like you said, we're always going to have this grief. But from my standpoint, you will see that it will ease up. You're going through a certain phase now, and I still am. I have days where I don't want to do anything. Or on very rare occasion, I have called the kids and said, "Look, I'm having a bad day. We're going to skip the visit today." I normally fight through those, but the one in particular, I just couldn't stop crying. Now, that was a little over a year ago, shortly after Beverly passed, but, and family support is very important, like you say. I know you've had a problem with a brother or a sister. I've had problems with a couple of others that, like you say, they don't know that person like we do. So their grieving process is slightly different than ours. Even within my family, my daughter, all of 5 of them, they're all grieving differently. Some because they were here around her all the time, and some are distant. They live up in Atlanta and Kentucky, so the grieving process is different for other family members. And however they want to do it, I let them. There are days when my daughter Christine here I call her on the phone and I can tell she's been weeping. And she's at work. I'll give her a call at lunchtime, like, hey kiddo, how you doing? Having a bad day, Dad. Okay, well, if you want to stop by after work, I'm here for a cup of coffee or a tequila and sunrise if you want one. So.
And Kleenexes.
Oh,
You gotta have Kleenexes.
I own stock in Kleenex. I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
But it's different. Like I said, Christmas this year, like I said, with the 65 plus bins, Christmas this year it's somewhat helping me. There are days when I'm thinking about, okay, decorate this. They even, at Thanksgiving, they said, well, Dad, since you're decorating this year, we've decided that Christmas dinner is at your house. But you don't have to cook. Oh, okay, we're good. We're good. So I just have to find the nice tablecloths and the Christmas placemats and set up the dining room tables. So, and I'm going back to the kids' table. There's 8 seats at the dining room table. So I have my daughter and her son, 2 granddaughters and their husbands, and then the 2 3-year-olds are going to sit at the big table. And then the 2 5-year-olds, the 11-year-old, and the 5-year-old is going back to the kids' table in the next room. So I'm regressing back to childhood and being sent to the kids' table. But I'm looking forward to it. I really am, because the 2 5-year-olds definitely need supervision, not by the 11-year-old. Anyway, I'm kind of looking forward to Christmas this year, and I haven't the last few years, so time for somebody else to jump in here.
I really appreciate you saying through the grieving process, you learn how to be grateful and thankful. It took me a hot minute to figure that out, because I was just like thinking about what I lost and what I didn't have anymore. And my mother made Christmas. It was always Christmas Eve that she did. And so now, this year I'm having a hard time with the holidays, but I'm gonna continue, instead of doing Christmas Eve, I'm doing Christmas Day. So we're gonna play the games, and the kids, it's my 2nd year doing it, the kids really enjoyed it last year. We did, instead of musical chairs, we did musical candy canes. To take candy cane away. I've never seen kids like dive over. I have boys. I think we're gonna break some furniture this year, but I just sit there and I know my mother is in that room with us. Yeah, I don't wanna cry, but just thankful for all what she's done. She made me, be her in the holidays. So.
That's awesome.
I'm not going to talk again. Somebody else jump in here.
Well, I was going to tell you that I'm very lucky because I live in a small condo, and all the people have just been wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to help, so it's nice.
That's very
Yeah,
good.
so that makes it a little easier. especially when you can't do something for yourself, you know, like fix something.
That's really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep, they've all come in, they brought me food, it's just been amazing. So that way I'm very lucky that helps, because my husband and I didn't have any children. He has a son from previous marriage, but haven't seen him in a year and a half, so
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
he's, you know, he's not here, he's up in Charleston, South Carolina, so that's a whole different story. But anyway, I feel very lucky in that case that, you know, I do have that support group that I never expected.
Mhm.
So,
And that is often one of the big shockers for people when you do experience a loss, or you're going through as a caregiver, or you're struggling. The people you thought were going to be there maybe aren't, and the people you maybe never even expected.
well, that's the
Have
case,
stepped
yeah.
up.
Yeah, I mean, they're neighbors and we've all been
Mhm.
friendly, but they've been very caring.
Yeah,
So it's been nice.
that's very good.
Yeah, makes it easier,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, because so often people will also experience the loss of thinking they was gonna have all of these really good friends right there with them, and maybe they're not. And then it's like, well, now now what do I do?
Yeah.
And so that can be hard.
I've also learned people tell me about their experiences, so there's been a surprise in that
Mm-hmm,
history, that they have gone through some of it too with Alzheimer's,
exactly.
so that has helped.
Good.
You know, when my parents moved here in 2003, they built their home to entertain.
Okay.
And they had so many parties, and they just always had people around them. And then when my dad got diagnosed with Parkinson's, they just started disappearing. And it was just heart-wrenching. And, you know, my mom would hear about parties, and she wasn't invited.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, because just watching him deteriorate, and I get it, that it makes people uncomfortable, and they didn't want to be around it. So, but it was just so sad to recognize that. And now in my mom's state, there are still a few close friends, because she's not remembering how to use the phone. She's not remembering to charge her phone. So when I'm with her, I make phone calls to her friends, and they are so delighted to just talk to her and hear her voice and hear that she's still laughing. And she's starting to have where it's difficult to hold a conversation because it's not always making sense and that kind of thing, but they're still just laughing and just so positive. So that's helpful. And actually next week, Friday, is her 89th birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what to do. I know the facility does a birthday party on the 17th, so I'm definitely going to come to that. But I'm not sure that I want to take her out. Like in the past, we've taken her to lunch and we've invited friends, but just because our conversation isn't quite cohesive, I'm still toying with the idea if I should.
You can have a party here.
That's what I was thinking, is that,
You can either have this room or you can have one of the activity rooms.
okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah, when my mom turned 90 here, we had a big
Yeah.
party.
I'm
yeah.
thinking for 90, I would
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah,
do something.
yeah. But for 89, but still, you can have something, yeah. It's not to say it's 90, but you still could
Yeah.
have something, yeah.
Yeah.
No, because their facilities are good in here, so you could have something here. I know, because my mom came to the point that we just couldn't take her out anymore.
Yeah.
So we just brought stuff here and, they were accommodating, so.
And that's just the thing, I'm not sure if she's at that point yet, because I'll take her for car rides, we'll go to the river, we'll look at the beach and things like that, but to be around a lot of people, I think,
Yeah,
I've
true.
watched her kind of quiet, because she's not understanding what's happening and who are these people, and she starts to get confused, so I don't want to get her agitated either, so I'm just still toying with the idea.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Sometimes you do have to kind of alter their plans as they progress,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and that's actually one of the biggest things that you can do if you're struggling with dealing with the holiday festivities right now because of grief. Alter your plans just a little bit. Have stuff on Christmas Day versus Christmas Eve. I had one woman who told me once that she didn't want she didn't want to put up the big tree or anything, but her husband always had his tree. So that's the one she put up. And that made her feel better. You know, again, it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. So as long as we aren't trying to recreate that ideal memory, because we never can, and then it's a bigger letdown. That's what's important. We do what feels comfortable to us. We do what is meaningful to us. And if that means changing traditions, if that means changing what we've always done, it doesn't mean it won't change back. Just give yourself a little grace and latitude this year.
But, you know, like you were saying, that sometimes you do. I know I went to, Rebecca Osgood was talking, they were talking about at the holidays that sometimes you do have to alter your plans, and like with the family to say, you know, mom's at a different stage now, and the big parties that you used to have, it's just, you know, we just can't do it because she does get agitated or frustrated if there's two, because they get overstimulated sometimes, and that you have to scale that down a little bit.
Yeah, I had 6 cousins come up from Fort Lauderdale recently, and they all descended on her, and I was like, oh, you know, let me make sure I come too and supervise. And it started off great, and my mom has always loved to dance, and so they said, let's put on some music, and sure enough, she was dancing and things. And then we sat down and we were playing cards, and then I noticed she started getting agitated because she's like, you're my nephew, you say you're my nephew, and I don't know you. And she was just so frustrated that she, and of course she just kept repeating, and, you know, we'd play a little bit, and then she's like, I don't understand why I don't know you, and I'm supposed to, I feel so bad I don't know you. And, you know, everyone's just reassuring her, we love you, it's fine. So, yeah, so I just know a lot of people can be overwhelming, so.
Absolutely. Well, and I also, one of the bigger misconceptions with the grief process is that it's something it just gets better over time. And I think it's important that we remember it doesn't, that it gets better. We grow and we learn how to deal with it better. So it isn't that our grief gets smaller, it's that we are growing as people and we develop better coping and a better understanding of what it is we're feeling and why we're feeling it and how to process it. And that's really important because people are like, oh, when is this just gonna go away?
It's not.
Never.
It's not.
It's not going
It
away.
doesn't, it never does.
The only answer is goodbye.
What does change is us. And so if ever you start to feel stuck, if you feel like, oh, what am I doing? I'm just trudging through these emotions.
Yep, been here.
Stop and look back to how far you've come.
Mhm.
Because if you can see all the ways you've grown and all the things you've accomplished to get to where you are today, it will make the steps moving forward a little bit easier as well. And the other thing, if I could ever leave parting words for somebody to remember, celebrate the little things. If you've had a really good day, go get ice cream. Do something to celebrate your achievement, because it is in those celebrations that make all those other days a little bit easier. So it's important that we treat ourselves and give ourselves the same love and compassion we would give somebody else near and dear to us. But make sure you stop and say, you know what? I got through that grief group at our life, or your life, and I'm gonna get ice cream.
And I only cried halfway through that, halfway through it, and not the whole thing, yeah.
But,
I know, I just find too, I'm not crying as much. I mean, it just poured out for like the first month. And now it's not as bad, but of course it's gonna be there. I want it to be there. I don't want not to cry over my mother's loss. She was a good woman, but yeah, it's not as bad. But the memories are good, and it is a comfort. I don't know if it was, I had heard that people have said this a lot lately. It's like may your memories be your comfort. So, which is a good saying, because it does comfort you to know that she had a good life. I mean, both my parents, you know, they were good people, and it's good that I cry because I miss them. So.
I actually did after I finally got the tree up and a bunch of the stuff around, I walked down a hallway into where the den area is, and I could sense something, but I wasn't sure what it was, and the tears just started coming. And it was her saying, it's okay. You've been through the bins, you've been through the boxes, you've had some help, and now it's not what I would have done.
You heard that clearly, right?
She had a theme for every room. I mean, there was nutcrackers in one room,
Man, that's
angels
a lot
and
of
snowmen and
decorations.
Santas, and the whole house it took her a month and a half to set it all up.
Wow.
But I walked in and I said, I'm okay with this. This is good. And I think I've got your approval, at least for the kids. So it does ease up a little bit, but you're still gonna have, like me walking in and going, okay, is this okay? And then I can, yeah, I'm good with this.
Well, I do have I always have a trivia question for my
Oh, brother.
podcast. So, but I have the answer. It's okay. I have the questions and the answers. The trivia is that what is the difference between forgetfulness and Alzheimer's?
Forgetfulness?
Forgetfulness. You know, when you're, I'm forgetful, and it's like, do I have dementia? I'm just getting so forgetful. And forgetfulness can be, but not necessarily a part of aging. Unlike typical forgetfulness, serious memory problems that occur with Alzheimer's make it hard to do everyday tasks, such as cooking, bathing, shopping, not remembering people, places, and family members. So if you get a little forgetful, it's okay. Sometimes, with the stress of everything, and I just too, and as we get older, I always say that we just have a lot more information in our heads. There's just a lot to remember. So if we forget, it's okay. But if we forget how to drive a car or how to cook a meal or something like that, then you might, go to the Alzheimer's sign. But just because we get a little forgetful, and a quote from Tim Conway. He said, as I'm getting older, I think about the hereafter more often. Because every time I walk into a room, I wonder, what am I here after? Love Tim Conway. He was great. And my quote is, the love, care, and attention we give to the elderly is a measure of our humanity. Unknown source. But, it's just so true how people, when you see how people treat elderly people, it just tells you about what type of person they are. If they're patient and kind, then you know that that's the type of person they are. And if they're not, it's like, it's really sad that if they don't. But when we are, it just shows, that our humanity. Was there anything else that you needed?
No.
Is there anything else anyone would like to?
I was just going to comment on a couple of things. As you were talking about celebrating the little wins, I know I'm recognizing that I am celebrating the fact I can still take her to church with me every Sunday, and that, as we're doing the worship service, the words are on the screen, and she is just singing out. She loves to sing, and she's just singing, and when it's time to pray, I just grab her hand, and I just recognize I may not be able to do this for much longer. I don't know how long I can take her to church and how long she's going to be functioning like that. But something I did want to just hear what you have to say about regarding grief is, and especially the two of you, it's like as you're grieving, you've lost two people, because I address
I
her.
lost part of me.
Well, that's true too. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But, my mom's name is Celia Eileen Wilson, and Celia is gone. And so I don't even, in my phone, I don't have her as Celia, I don't have her as mom, because she's gone. So it's like, I feel like I'm grieving that person. But then when she's physically gone, and so I refer to her as Eileen, which is her middle name. So it's like I'm grieving Celia, but then Eileen is going to be gone. So then it's like two people that you...
Going through it twice.
I mean, is that how you felt? Or?
You're going through what they call anticipatory grief.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's exactly what it is. You're slowly saying goodbye.
Yeah.
Is that, the person that that's still your mom, you still have to look at her that is my mom. It's not the mom like I, grew up with, and but she's still there. She's still in there. And it's like, you know, because like my mom, like near the end was, you know, she didn't talk and you know, she was totally dependent. And it's just like, but I know you're in there, Mom.
Yeah.
So I would still talk to her and share things with her. And because that's my mother.
Yeah.
And she deserves the dignity and the respect because she was a good woman and she did a lot for people with dementia. She did a lot in the world of dementia. So she's still in there though. She's still in there somewhere. Maybe she can't respond to you like she did, but she's still there.
Yeah, I think that's what I've been trying to do is
Yeah.
just close that off because it's like she's gone, so just forget that person.
That's one of the things that Beverly thoroughly enjoyed the last few years was we got to see a third generation of babies. There were our babies and then the grandbabies, and now she had to do, 2 months after, 2 months before we brought Beverly here, the two youngest ones were born in January and February, and she came here in April. So she had been around, a little backstory with Madeline is she's gonna be 11 in January, but because
Wow.
her mom was a single mom, we watched her the first 5 years before she started kindergarten during the week. So we got to see a third generation of babies.
Wow.
And Beverly absolutely doted on them and loved them. And then 5 years later, the two 5-year-olds come along 3 months apart. And we got, you know, she got to do it all again. And then my one granddaughter, well, both of them, but one granddaughter specifically would come here. They used to come every Wednesday morning before Beverly moved here. She continued. Every Wednesday morning here was great grandbaby day. And all of the help and the staff and a lot of the other patients, the residents here, not patients, but residents, they thoroughly enjoyed us walking through when, you know, the toddler was just starting to walk and the then 3-year-old was running around looking at the fish and the pictures on the wall, and he absolutely owned the garden out there. I had a hard time keeping track of him, but she loved it. And it's something about kids, and I don't know what it was, but she just absolutely. And that was one of the things that kind of helped me too, after she did move here I knew it was coming at some point. And this was kind of a break-in where I'm by myself at home most of the time. I was here every morning for 4 months, 4.5 months before they forced me to take a day off. But I gradually adjusted to taking 2 days a week off. And on those 2 days, other family members came. So it is kind of a beginning of the grieving period, knowing that this is going to happen. There's no way, I mean, it's the same for all of us. We're all gonna, but facing it with a loved one, it's
So hard.
yeah, it's
hard.
that year and a half until she passed, it was not easy. But again, I had a good support system. I had the kids coming over for visits. You know, in addition to here, Jillian would come over on Saturday mornings, and Kathleen would bring the other munchkins over on Thursday afternoon. So the kids from up north would come down for a visit every couple of months and come and see her 2 or 3 days in a row before they went back. So I had a good family support system. It does help if you've got family. Lean on them.
Yeah.
I did, and I don't regret a minute of it.
And if they ask you, is there anything I can do? Tell them.
Tell them.
Yeah. Tell them.
Make a list.
Yeah, seriously,
I've
tell them.
got about 4 or 5 lists
Yeah.
for who comes into town, who's gonna help me with what.
Right? Yeah. No, because if people say, well, what can I do? Tell
Yeah.
them. Like you said, give them a list. Maybe they don't want to mow your yard, but they can,
Yeah.
you know, relieve you if you want to go to the store or
Right.
go to the store for you and say, okay, if you're serious, this is here's your choices.
And that's what
So,
the ones that were here would do to give me a break before Beverly moved here, because she would panic if I wasn't there.
No.
As long as there was another family member around, it was okay for me to go to a doctor's appointment or run up to the grocery store quick to get something. But yeah, it's, you know, I can't get up on the roof anymore. I got two grandsons here.
That's right. Put them to work.
I'll go out there and watch, you know, clean the gutters out and check for damage and that kind of stuff. And my one son-in-law has a lawn business, so the last several months, he's been doing the lawn for me.
Yeah.
I had to, the reason was I had to have hernia surgery, so I couldn't. And my daughter says, the day I came home after the surgery, I says, well, I guess I'll take Friday off and Saturday I'll be back on the mower. And she,
Oh, goodness.
I was just teasing. I was not gonna. But she looked at me and she says, no, it's Bill's job for the next couple of months. You ain't getting on a mower, Dad. So I let her force me. I didn't, you know, like twisting my arm, you know. Okay.
Yeah.
Let them help when they can, when they offer. Sometimes it's rare that they offer.
So I have a question. Did your wife recognize you towards the end?
She knew who I was until about a month before she passed. Not every day,
Yeah.
but most of the time she knew who I was because it was a routine. I was here 5 days a week.
Yeah, well, I can't come that often, but,
Yeah, I
right,
understand.
yeah, I
You
see.
can't. But
'cause,
she was a unique individual in that she was terrible with names, except mine.
oh,
She couldn't get two of the kids or two of the grandkids or two of the greats' names right.
well,
But she always knew who Andy was.
well, that's good.
Does your
And in fact, I
husband
knew it
still-
was getting close when the days,
Well,
2 or 3 days in a row I showed
yeah,
up
I don't think so.
and she was not in her usual place out in the yard
Oh,
and she didn't know who I was.
okay.
And about 5 days later was when she had a collapse in the hallway, couldn't get back up. They got her to her room and hospice came in. It may have been the in-house hospice, I'm not sure if it was same, but, and within 3 weeks of the collapse, she was gone.
Wow,
But yeah, she was one of the
okay.
fortunate ones for me, and I think it helped me a little bit knowing that she still knew who I was.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your husband knows who you were?
Well, I was here yesterday and he did know who I was 2 days prior. I try to come every other day. I don't think he had a clue. And he talks gibberish. He makes no sense
Oh, yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah. That's
And then he
absolutely.
falls asleep.
I know one time though, my dad, because my dad had dementia, and he would talk about some guy who was in the house and he was giving him a hard time and he wanted him to leave. So my mom said, okay. She said, okay, I'll take care of it. So she left for a few minutes and she said, it's okay, he's gone. I told him, go away, don't ever come back. And then he was fine.
It worked.
Yeah, and it worked, yeah. You have to be creative because it's kind of, you have to live in their world because that's where they are, that's what they're thinking, and you just have to deal with that and just be creative because it's amazing, you know? Because you can't, sometimes it's hard to say, no, nobody's there or nothing, and you just, in their mind, there's somebody there, so if you can resolve that issue by either saying that or something else, then they're like, oh, okay.
You just hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
We live in the real world. Their world has become a different world for them.
Yes.
So you have to get into their world. And I realize that from Dr. Visa and Crystal there. We used to, before she came here, she was seeing Dr. Visa at the Health First facility. And one of the things they told me is, she's living physically in this world, but mentally she is partially here and partially somewhere else. And if you want to relate to her, you have to get into that part of her head and her world. It made me a lot more observant. I mean, she was the one that could always tell when a kid had done something wrong, or one of the grandkids, whatever. or a coworker. I had a hard time doing that until a few years ago when I started just watching and listening to people and their reactions. And a lot of people, if they don't look you in the eye, you got a problem. So one of the things I forced myself to do with her was make eye contact. Are you constantly, are we on the same page here, sweetie? Okay. And if not, if I couldn't get her attention, I knew she was in her own world and I was not about to get into it. If they don't want to participate in something, they either vacate themselves or create a ruckus to where they're forcing you out. Hard to take, but as a caregiver, you learn the ropes of what I can do and what I can't do, what I should do and what I shouldn't do. It's a long learning process, but it's helped me with my relationship with some family members and especially the kids. I have one of the 5-year-olds is deaf. He's had cochlear implant surgery, but he's talking now. The cochlear implant surgery worked, and he has the
Hearing aids, like a hearing aid.
it's not a hearing aid, but
Yeah,
it's
cochlear
a
implants.
Vibration.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
okay.
vibrations. And his talking is not like we would most understand. You got to spend a lot of time with him to understand what he's saying. But he's only 5. He'll learn speech better, and he's going through speech therapists. But if I don't get his attention and look him straight in the eye, Colton, Pa said no, or Pa. One of the things Madeline and I found when we were going through was 10 Christmas cookie jars. 10. Most of them snowmen. So I figured, I can't put cookies in all of these. Oh, yes, you can. They sell the individual wrapped ones with 3 or 4 cookies in them for kids' lunches. I put several different ones in each. So when he came over Tuesday, I says, Pa, put cookies in the cookie jar. Pa, cookies in jar. Yeah, you gotta go look. So he ran into the kitchen. It's just one of those things that brightened my day. That was one of my ice cream nights.
I guess so.
But we have to deal
You
with.
gotta look them right in the eye.
Yeah. But their reality is different than ours.
Oh,
But
yes.
But that's their reality. You
Exactly.
can't change that.
No, you can't change that.
So it's, it is interesting.
Now that you guys mention that, I'm thinking of an instance that my mom insists that there's someone watching her through the vents when she goes in the bathroom.
Oh, no.
And that's why she doesn't want to take a shower, because there's a boy upstairs
Oh, my
who
goodness.
talks through the vents and
Oh,
tells her,
wow. Oh, my
I'm
goodness.
seeing a show. And
Bye.
Oh,
and
my
I get
goodness.
so annoyed, but
Oh, wow.
I should go with it and say, nope, you know what, I talked to him and he's out today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't thought to do that because I just keep saying,
Wow.
no, there's no one up there. There's not an upstairs here. This is a 1-level facility. There's no one there, but I'll just go with that
Yeah.
and say, well, he's out. He went to
Yeah.
visit a friend.
Yeah.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you just have to be.
You have to be
can be so
creative.
creative.
You have to.
You can be. I mean, it's amazing what you can think of too. But not in that case. But sometimes their reality. I'd like to be in their reality than mine. But my mom was always going somewhere. She was always saying, "Okay, so we're gonna go." She would tell the staff, we're gonna go out. Yeah, we're gonna go out to dinner, and then we're gonna go up home. She would say up home, and you can come with me. And I'm like, yep, that's right, Mom. I'm like, whatever she says, yep, sounds good. Because my dad said she was born with wheels on the bottom, because she was always going, always doing something. But yeah. Well, Kristie, I'm so glad you could be here today.
Yes,
This was wonderful.
thank you.
Perfect timing to have you here, and thank you to Your Life for always sponsoring this. It's once a month. It's the second Friday of the month. As you see, we have a lovely luncheon, and
Too much food.
Yeah.
I hope they feed the staff.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. But
It
it's,
doesn't go to waste.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Let's say this is your first Christmas what would you recommend for a wife or a husband who has either lost their spouse or in
Well, they're basically
what could
lost.
they do? How could they get through it?
So there's more questions I have with
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's never just that easy. It's like, oh, I
Mhm.
lost my. What have you done in the past?
Yeah.
What do you normally do? Is there something that your spouse was very passionate about? Were they big on with a certain organization? Could you volunteer for that organization in honor of your spouse? Could you do something that you've never done before, so it feels very different? So maybe you hand out toys for Toys or Tots. Maybe you go and you ask if you can start volunteering at an organization to give their staff days off so you can be there. There's lots of things that if you sit back and you think about, well, this is what was important to us, or this is what was important to them, and then try to incorporate that in, it can help make the holidays a little bit more meaningful because you know you're doing something they would have enjoyed or appreciated. As far as like the day-to-day stuff, if you always went out together to look at Christmas lights, and if that's not what you're feeling, don't force it. Because when you force yourself to do something you've always done, it's just so much harder. And you'll know in that moment. If it's something you're like, you know what, I want to do this, then do it. Go look at the Christmas lights. If you're like, this year I want to decorate, that's great. After my mom passed away, we asked Dad, because Dad never did anything with the decorating other than, you know, telling us what to do. So we said, do you want us to decorate the house? And he said, no, I don't. He said, I'm gonna go to the kids anyway this year, so why put stuff up just to take it down? And that's okay. There was nothing wrong with that. That's where he was at in that moment. This year, we'll see what he wants to do. Because, and every year it's going to be an evolution. It's going to be a change. And, you know, my first year without my mom, man, I struggled. I really struggled, but you also, there's always that part of you, like, you gotta step it up and you gotta do this for these other people in your life. And if you feel compelled to do that, that's fine, but I will encourage you, take time to feel. Take time to remember your loved one and honor. So even if you have to feel like you have to be on for kids or whoever else in your life, give yourself time to just breathe. Whether it's taking the long drive by the water, whether it's just sitting quietly with music playing if that's what you enjoy. But give yourself that time. Honor your grief and your loved one by remembering what was important, what still is important. Because, okay, yeah, we always did this, and maybe next year you can do it again, but this year let's do something different. Let's do, you know, because there's nothing that tugs more than you're like, we always put out the stockings. It's like, well, do we put out a stocking for her? You know, and those are the things you have to just kind of step through as you go through it. But make it be what helps you sleep at night. Because if you can get to the end of your day and say, I did right by my loved one through my grief, tomorrow we'll try again, there's nothing wrong with that. Because every day is a journey. Every day you learn something new. And every day you just have to give yourself a lot of grace and be patient, because if this is your first time, remind yourself it's the first time. You don't have to have all the answers. I mean, if you were married 45 years or however many years, and they've only been gone 4 weeks, those don't even compare.
No, that's true.
So just give yourself some grace that you are where you're supposed to be in this moment.
But as you can see, this is a wonderful time of sharing. And like I said, second Friday of the month, the luncheon. And thank you for spending time with me today. And again, thank you, Kristie. And part of my podcast is I would like to hear your ideas and share your concerns. So feel free to email me at timewithterryshow@gmail.com. And just a reminder, reach out to someone and be a blessing today, and you'll be blessed too. Bye.